Okay, so tonight we're going to be talking about actually 3.17 and 3.18, some features, a little bit about 2024, what we think might be ahead or speculating, and then just like a Q&A, ask anything type thing. With this agenda, welcome introductions, what's new, topics Q&A. We try to finish 4.7, might be a short one tonight. We'll just wait and see how we get through all these bits and bobs. Hello from us. My name is Will. I'm one of the organizers here. And my background is I've been working with WordPress as a developer since about 2006. For those, my main strengths are APIs, backend logic, that sort of stuff. I also run the WordPress Sydney Meetup group. Yeah, I better not say any more about something else that might be coming up soon. So, John, do you want to give just a brief introduction?
Yeah. So I am John, also organizer of the group here, and I'm a graphic designer. So I always look at the design side of everything with Elementor. I've been working WordPress probably professionally for about 10 years now, and probably using Elementor for about 5 years. And as I always say on this one, I'm just in love with Elementor because it allows me to do whatever I want to do, well, to a certain extent. And that's something that we will look at today, just to see if there's any advance in that, really.
We've got Julia as well. Julia can't be here. She's on the other side of the planet, basically, so she's got a pretty good excuse. Code of conduct, as always, I'll copy that into the chat. Basically, be nice to everyone, but we've got to mention it. Introduce yourselves. So Paul and Nick, you've got a chance to introduce yourselves if you like. More importantly, what we're drinking. I forgot I'm drinking orange and mango and a cup of decaf tea.
Yum. I'm drinking lemon and ginger tea in my cup that keeps disappearing. My Super Mario cup.
Well, I'll jump in. Paul Shipley in Melbourne as a run my own web design development business. Do all the hosting. Been using Elementor for since 5 years or so now. It's ridiculously long. Saw it, loved it. Wanting to get into more of it. So always interested in new features coming along. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Paul. Nick, are you there? You want to introduce yourself? Or it might be just watching in the background. I think maybe watching in the background. That's okay. Okay. So we've got a couple of updates. We've got Elementor 3.17, came out last month, but we didn't have a meetup last month. And 3.18 is out this month. So we'll spin through some of the features. There's not an awful lot to be covered in the last couple of months, to be honest. If I was to say that, it's mostly been tweaks and fixes. But 3.17, it came out in November. It's got a few things, new things. So AI history. So you can see what you've been doing in the AI previously. And that's actually quite important, especially with things like image generation. You want to go back and make sure that you're not doing the same mistakes and have a look what you've done before, because it is all credit based. So you're using up all your credits each time you do some AI thingy. There's a revamped ratings widget. I've not looked at that. I probably should. I don't know if John's looked at that at all, but I'm not sure exactly what's been revamped except for extra features and things in those. The two that interested me was Gutenberg asset loading and image optimization. They're in beta, and I'll talk about those a little bit later on. So that's the free. What we tend to find is you usually get the new features will come in the free for those, and then the kind of bigger enhancements, the paid stuff goes in the pro. And as such, nothing new in the pro in 3.17. So it just incorporated all the tweaks and fixes from the core, from the free one. So 3.18, it came out this month, just a few days ago. It's got a few new things. Element Manager, so it allows you to personalize your widget on the left-hand side, the panel. So you can get rid of all the distracting stuff that you'll never ever use and just have kind of the common tools that you use all the time. So I think that's probably a good addition for those. AI for text-based container generation and Elementor-based container variations. John's going to cover aspects of that in a few slides later, so I won't talk about that just now. And again, Elementor Pro, nothing new at all, just incorporates the tweaks and fixes. So not a lot of stuff, not a lot of new stuff, not a lot of exciting stuff in there over the last couple of months. As we have a look to the roadmap, this is December 2023 roadmap. You can see in progress, nothing. So, you know, they're all having parties down there or hiding, which other one that they are. So there's nothing in progress. There's a couple of things that popped into planning. So conditional logic for the Builder Pro CSS selections, some more advanced CSS selections, it's like classes and things like that, and be able to apply them to kind of more widgets, more elements. And then on the hosting side, there's team collaboration for that. It's nothing in progress, and we've got a whole load of beta stuff. There's actually probably more on the beta, but I just cut it off at that point. But those things that we talked about in past meetups. So more importantly, we're doing a little bit of a format change for next year. As you know, being a regular, Paul, the numbers are pretty low here. So this is what we've come up with. We did have a talk to think, should we disband this altogether? But we'll keep going along and we'll see how things progress for 2024. But what we're going to do is change the format slightly. So we're going to have new features like we've done before. So we'll focus on the new features in Elementor. And then John's going to focus on the design parts. I'll focus on the development side, the techie side. And then we'll kind of open up for a Q&A. Now, this is going to depend on what Elementor releases. You know, the last couple of months, there's not been an awful lot. So there could be short meetups. Or if we get a jam-packed version, you know, it could be slightly longer. But, you know, 30, 45 minutes with a Q&A at the end if you want to chat for things. So that's going to be the new format we'll stick to. So focusing on elements, focusing on design and development stuff with, you know, separately from each other, John and I, and Q&A. Second change is we're going to change the schedule. So we're going to move from monthly to quarterly for those. We'll keep it on the same day, so first Thursday, but on a quarterly basis. That's going to mean March, June, September, and December. So only 4 per year. Again, we did think we could maybe extend that, and we might do. We might extend the time between 60 and 90 because it's a shorter gap in between. But it really does depend on what new stuff comes out, you know, in that quarter and what we can talk about for those. But that's the format changes. So a slightly different format and what we're going to how we're going to talk about stuff, you know, and a quarterly schedule to hopefully get a little bit more people in and have a little bit longer to talk more about more of the features rather than do it month to month. Because at the moment, we're kind of struggling to find new stuff to talk about each month, especially the last couple of months, not a lot of new things. So that's that.
Yeah, can I just jump in there? Thanks.
Yeah.
First, I've got to say, I really enjoyed the meetups. Really looking forward to them. You know, as you know, I go to most of them. So yeah, thumbs up there. Before the pandemic, I was involved in probably a dozen meetups or user groups of one sort or another that met at various times. And obviously it all stopped during the pandemic. Even a lot of the online ones just fitted away. Several have tried to restart and have just either vanished or not. So yeah, I don't think it's necessarily just this particular meetup. I think meetups in general and user groups in general, for whatever reason, are just struggling to re-establish in the current environment. Don't know why. The changes sound good. I look forward to next year.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for chipping in. Yeah, we've seen that across the board, especially the WordPress meetups and the tech conferences and meetups in general. Very, very low attendance. People seem to want to get back to hands-on in-person meetups. There's more focus on kind of more workshop cohort type gatherings rather than just a presentation, because people are just happy to watch those in their own time, you know, at double speed and just extract the information they need rather than do the whole chat thing. So yeah, we'll see what numbers go like next year, and then we'll just revise it and see, you know, how it goes next year with numbers and stuff. But yeah, thanks very much for your feedback.
Yeah, just one more thing to add on that. one thing I've noticed, because I'm in a number of Elementor discussion groups, Facebooks and whatever, and one of the things that's both a flaw and a feature or success of Elementor is it's enabled people with a low barrier to entry, and people who lack technical skills, which is fine, have been able to do their own WordPress. And I keep seeing people asking questions along the lines of, my site's completely stuffed because of this, and you can read, because I know that this is something to do with their hosting. When is Elementor going to fix this? And it's just that their lack of understanding, which is fine, but their lack of understanding, they don't see where all the various bits fit together. And it's the classic, the thing in front of me isn't working, therefore it's the thing in front of me's fault.
Yeah.
As opposed to the supply chain.
Yeah. Yeah, completely agree.
Absolutely, definitely a need for education, for workshops, for user groups. I'm just not sure why people aren't getting involved.
There's two bugbears that's kind of brought up in my head. One is that, and again, I think it's probably you're correct, people don't have the right technical knowledge to describe it, but it's, is there a plugin for Elementor? Is there a booking plugin for Elementor? Is there a backup plugin for Elementor? It's not Elementor, it's WordPress.
Yeah.
Right, so that's one bugbear for me. The second one is, I just updated Elementor and it's broken my whole site, but it's got nothing to do with the 100 plugins that I've got installed.
Yeah. Exactly. And given I'm sysadmin end to end, I'm very, I'll pull out the Elementor plugin code and go, what's it doing? How's it working? I see why it's trying to do, and it's because, so I get all that, but it's lowered the barrier of entry, so people can very quickly make a site and make a beautiful site. But when something doesn't quite go the way they expect, they lack the technical understanding to know that this is what they need to fix. And oftentimes it's crap hosting. I wish more people would take advantage of the Elementor hosting, purely because it is meant for Elementor, it'll work with Elementor, and a lot of these people, they say, oh, yeah, what's your PHP version? 5.6. It's like, are you insane? And because there's just, especially here in Australia, there's just so many of these cheap hosts which are overseas, and they're just absolute rubbish. And people just don't understand that $5 a month host isn't going to give you the same as $100 a month host. That you're talking different things.
Yes, exactly. I like giving a beer analogy. So would you pay 25 cents for a beer, or would you buy a beer at like $5? And would you expect quality? Would you expect those? People are right up on their beer.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for that. Maybe we should think about doing more Q&A stuff, or bring your problems to fix my Elementor website. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. But they've got to come to the meeting first.
That's correct. That's correct. Okay. Okay, done that one. So I'm going to talk a couple of features in 3.17 and 3.18. Let's see. Right. Oh, yes. First of all, so I'm kind of putting together these slides, and I thought rather than just talk about the features, I want to talk a little bit about Elementor itself and the kind of journey it's went through in the past couple of years. So I've noticed some recent as in over the last couple of years, Elementor structural changes and just the way the Elementors themselves, the company, has been operating. So I think they got to probably a high point in 2021, 2022. That's when they kind of, Elementor was the bee's knees, and they were all out, they were supporting the meetups. They were sending out gifts, everything like that. You know, everything was going fantastic. And then probably 2022, we start to see some issues or some changes, maybe not issues, changes that start to creep in. So here's some kind of timeline. Oops, I've got December 2024. That's an error. Anyway, March 2022. So we had all these, what we call a community hub. So forums.elementor.com. And there was a big move away from Facebook because, you know, Facebook's got all this proprietary data. They could kind of shut it down at any moment and we could lose it all. So they went to their own hosted system, which was forums. But unfortunately, they decided to close that down around about March 2022. The thing that really irked a lot of us was that there was no archive, there was no port, there was no option to export stuff. It was just gone. So all that knowledge-based stuff that was there over the 6 months, 8 months, a year that it operated just kind of vanished. I think that irked an awful lot of people off because when you went back to Facebook group, obviously all that stuff had gone as well because it was a new Facebook group. So that kind of happened. I think they lost a little bit of credibility in the market for developers for that. Then they got hit with staff reductions. So they had went through this period of expanding quite a lot, getting more staff, doing lots of things. But then June 2022, they had this 15% staff reductions for that, which, you know, really hurt them a lot. There was this big move away from Meetup as well in 2021, and they went to this Bevy system, Bevy Meetup platforms, and it was just riddled with bugs, really bad UI, problems all over the place. So that was decided to retire that after not even a year, maybe 9-10 months, and then they moved back to Meetup. And again, that irked people because we had quite a lot of people on Meetup, and then that was closed down. We moved to this Bevy system, and then that was closed down. We lost an awful lot of people between those two transitions, just you know, sick of it, really. So they decided to move back to Meetup. Then when they moved back to Meetup, they've consolidated the local meetups. So it wasn't Elementor Sydney anymore. It wasn't Elementor blah, 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 Berlin or London. It was a country or a US region. So we went from Elementor Sydney to Elementor Australia, which sounds fantastic, but I don't know if that was the best thing to do or not. August 2023, again, had this expert directory, which I thought was quite good. I got a few leads from that. But in general, I think it was a good little marketplace and a lot of people used that. But again, they decided to retire that. And again, with the strategy of having no archive, no replacement, so data was completely lost from that. Not as big a deal as the forums, I don't think. But again, I think that could have been handled a lot better for that. And October 2023, they've downgraded the Slack group from the Pro to the free. Now, I know that's nothing to do with them internally. It's more of a Slack pricing change. I think they slapped on something like 56 cents, 60 cents per user increase. So that's kind of not sustainable. But still, when you go down to the free version, you only get 90 days of history for that. So all that stuff that's gone before, you've kind of lost it. And again, no archive, no export or anything as well. So while I love Elementor and I'm still, you know, I still think it's a really good product, they have had their ups and downs, more downs in the last couple of years, I think. And I'm saying December, that should be December 2023. The Slack group engagement is just an all-time low. There's not a lot of stuff happening in there. And I know people have had problems with support, but even on Slack, people as in Elementor employees are not as responsive as they used to be. So, and I know things are going on in the Middle East, in that region. I know it's difficult, you know, for that. So not giving them a hard time about that, but I just thought it'd be interesting to have a review of how Elementor's peaked and how it's kind of troughed at the moment, I think. You know, it could be time for a little bit of an internal review as to where they go from 2024 onwards. Look at the pricing changes as well. This has narked a lot of people online. So in November 2022, they had hiked the agency plan all the way up to $1,000, which really put it out of the reach to a lot of people. So they decided to bring that back down after a few months to $399. And again, a lot of people, whenever you change prices, people get narked, doesn't matter what you do. But especially people who bought it at the 999 or had to buy it at the 999, and now, you know, it went down to, you know, $600 off. You know, that's a huge change to say, to try and get across to your community. December last year, or December this year, they've changed the pricing again. So this is more focused on the Elementor Pro. So there's now different variations, but generally the entry level now, what they've done is they've split that into two. So you've now got a Pro Essential and you've got a Pro Advanced. The Pro Essential is still $59 for one site, which is a bit of a bargain, I think. If people can't afford that, then, you know, I don't think they should be in business, but still. The way they've restricted that is it's one site, which, you know, is meaningless, I think, but they've only got 50 widgets now. So they've taken out things like pop-up builder, custom code, custom CSS, e-commerce support, and note collaboration. They've still got forms in there, but you can't see the submissions. So you can't go back in and read the submissions. It doesn't store it anymore. You get the emails, but you don't get submissions and you don't get all the integrations. So no webhooks, no MailChimp, that sort of stuff. It's just straight email form, basically. So there's a lot of stuff on Facebook about this, a lot of negative stuff. I think it kind of makes sense a little bit. So if you've just got a basic website, an info brochure website, you don't need pop-ups and custom code and email stuff if you're just doing like a, you know, an about and a services page. So I didn't see the big deal about this. I think people were more angrier about this advanced one, which gets all the widgets, which is 82 widgets for $99. Not so much the price point, but I think the fact that it comes with a 3-site license. So people were saying, well, I just want to install it for one site, or I want to recommend it to my client, and they need the e-commerce, they need pop-ups, but now it comes with 3-site licenses, you know, and people are saying, you know, why do I need to pay extra money just for 3-site licenses? So the focus is more on the site license than the actual what they're getting for the Pro. I would just say it doesn't really matter, 3-site license, 1-site license, you know, just use them as is, but it certainly seems to have angered a few people. And then another one says, as an expert at $199, that's not changed. Got 25-site license, and then the agency is at $399 with 1,000 sites. If you do have an Elementor Pro, then they're grandfathering that. So if you've already got a license, then you still get all the widgets forever until you let the license expire. And then if you have to rebuy it license, then you have to choose between the two options there. Yeah, so
I have got so many professional plugins, probably a dozen for my various customers, and they all do different pricing and they all do different things. And there's some of them that's just, you know, they've got 5 licenses and the next is 50 and I just want 6. And, you know, I don't know how you make, but as for that 3 license thing, I mean, it's only like for $40 more, you get all the extra features and 2 free licenses, you know?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. I think, and yeah, I think A, some people are a bit precious, and B, and always this constant change obviously upsets people. But I just see so many people doing, oh, I'm over builder X, I'm moving to builder Y. And 3 months later, it's I'm over builder Y, I'm moving to builder Z. You know, it's like, mate, you know, work it out, stick with one.
Yeah. But then they still hang on in the forums for 4 months, griping about the change.
Yeah, and the rest, yes.
I'm moving on. I'm still moving on.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay, so a couple of things I wanted to talk about just briefly. The 2 things that kind of excited me is these Gutenberg asset loading. So it's in beta just now. You have to go into the settings and the features and turn it on. But basically, this one here is, and the team's quite right. They've been working with the Google Lightspeed team to try and improve performance. And they've noticed that if people are just not using Gutenberg and going straight to Elementor, it's still loading in all the block editor assets in the back end, which are not needed at all. So they've got this smart filter in. that if it recognizes you've got no blocks associated with a particular page, it then will not load in any of those assets on page loading time, which is really, really good. I don't know if you might have noticed, Paul, but with the new version of Gutenberg, the last version of Gutenberg, it actually loads in a whole lot of asset files that it doesn't actually need. So that's an issue in itself. But I like this. I think this is a good idea. I think it should probably be switched on and moved into the core.
I absolutely have noticed that because just for my debugging and stuff, I'm obviously looking at the network traces, and you can just, the amount of stuff that just gets loaded is just phenomenal. I mean, I've got optimization on my production sites that minify a lot of stuff, and that helps to some extent. But certainly in development, you're thinking, oh my goodness gracious. And in my development, the caching's off, and I can see how slow it is compared to production, where I've got the caching and the minification and all the rest of it. Yeah. It's like 5 times slower. It's not even a little bit noticeable. It's like significantly big feature noticeable. So yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I think there's about 20 asset files that it tries to load in, even if you've got a blank page with just the title before any blocks.
And they're all massive.
Yeah.
They're all massive, you know, because they need this one little bit, so they've got to load the whole file. Yeah.
You know. So that's a good thing. So I'm excited about that one.
Yep, good move.
The next one as well, I really like. So this one's a slight twist on overall optimization, but there is a new. It's not really new, but there's a tag for an HTML property from HTML tag called fetch priority, which now Elementor can use. So you can use it as a HTML attribute, or you can use it in JavaScript as well. But it's called fetch priority. And the idea is you choose your highest asset. So it's probably like a background banner, a background video, something like that. And you're telling the website to set the fetch priority to high, which means it's loading it in higher up in the background area to try and preload it in faster and make sure that it's not blocking that with anything else. So it's the good thing about this fetch priority is it isn't a render block, and it does it asynchronously. So that's a beta. So I switched it on, and they're saying they get about a 5 to 10% speed improvement. That depends on how big your web asset is going to be on the preload. So yeah, I'm going to test that a little bit more, look at the code behind and see exactly how it's been implemented, see if I can move that up or down priorities. But yeah, I quite like these two things, the Gutenberg and the image optimization, because I know a lot of people still use huge images and huge backgrounds, 5,000 pixels, which is just crazy. But still, I've got clients that have reasonably large backgrounds, still optimized, but they're still coming in 200-300K. So if you can make them go even 10% faster, then that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds really good. I'll look into that. Lazy loading is a great thing. And one of the paid things I have is short pixel across all my production sites, which I just include in my hosting, because customers have no idea. They just take the photo on their iPhone and upload 4 megapixel, and they've got a page, and they've got 24 megapixel photos on it, and they won't. It's really slow to load. Yeah, I've even got a plugin that I wrote myself, and it's only like 3 lines of PHP that actually blocks uploading a maximum size of image. And I think I've got like 500K or something. And they'll say, I can't upload this image. Why are you even trying to do that?
That's my roundup. I've got a little bit more slides, John, but if you want to jump in with your stuff, and then I can round off at the end.
Yeah,
you should have shared.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, okay, I'll just share. I'm going to go through 3 things, and so I was just pressing buttons during your talk there, Will. One of the last thing I'm kind of having a bit of trouble with, because I may have just used up all of my AI credit. The exact thing you were talking about a minute ago.
Yes.
But let me just I'll talk about it anyway. And I just want to cover a couple of brief things. Everyone can see that one that says Australia, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm just going to look at like 3 things that are new in the latest version of Elementor or are about to happen, basically. So the first one to look at, and there's not like any major design changes to it at the moment. And obviously, when we change to going quarterly with this one, we'll have a hell of a lot more to talk about, basically. The first one that update that they've got, if you were there for my lesson last month, you'll see that I looked at this taxonomy filter, which was basically allowing us to, when you've got a blog site that has loads of blog posts, sorry, you can split it up into sort of subcategories. So here we have, this is a website that I built called Travel Without Limits, and this is the Australia page. But obviously, you know, I don't know how many posts there are about Australia, but there's a lot. And we were able to just split it up into 8 different states and territories. So obviously, if I want to see the ones about ACT, click on that. Ones about New South Wales, I click on that. So that was actually a really good feature that Elementor have brought in recently. Now they've kind of just brought in like something extra for how that works, basically. Because we kind of like, there was a few sort of flaws in it when we were looking at it last time. The new thing that you can do in this, basically, is allow multiple selection. So if you switch that on, you can choose that if someone clicks on the buttons, it will show them this thing and this thing, or it will show them this thing or this thing. So just to show you how that works. So obviously what we have at the moment, if I click on New South Wales, I see New South Wales. But if I click on ACT, everything from New South Wales has disappeared. But obviously if we update it to that, apologize for my horribly slow internet in this house. Let's just reload this one. So what I can do now is I can kind of choose both, basically. So if I'm interested, if I'm doing some travel and I know I'm going to be in New South Wales, and obviously ACT is inside New South Wales, I can look at posts for both, basically. So I can even just choose, you know, 2 or 3 states or territories, and it will change everything to that. So that's kind of like quite a cool little feature. But it doesn't work that well for this kind of blog website. But I was thinking about it earlier, and it would work really well if you have an e-commerce site, basically, because let's just say this was shoes, and then this was caps, and this was t-shirts, and then you had kind of like, you know, large size, medium size, or anything. You can use it for that. So I'll just kind of show you how that could potentially work.
Shoes was the first thing that I thought about, John.
Yeah. Because it would be useful for that. And this is something that they haven't quite got right. So all I've just done here is just run these categories on the side here, because that's kind of how you normally get it if you're building a Shopify site or something. You'd always have those categories kind of running down the left in a sort of static column. And then you can obviously just choose what you want. So let's just say that these were shoes and these were t-shirts and stuff like that. I could go, right, I want to buy some shoes, I want to buy some t-shirts, and I want them to be large size, and I want them to be red, and then everything in this box on the right hand side would change. So it is a cool new feature, just not so much for blog sites. So that's the first thing I just want to talk about. That's kind of like the big design update, which doesn't sound like a big one in 3.18. But I thought I'd just show you that one. All I need to do first, though, is just make sure I actually take this site back, because this is a live site. That's how it was before. There we go. Otherwise, my client would be quite unhappy about that. Just one thing that they have, well, I kind of found it in the features section the other day, and it was this one that says editor top bar, and this is in the alpha status, and it says get a sneak peek of the new editor powered by React. This isn't a big change, but I just kind of like thought I'd take a look at it, so I set it as active. And all it's doing is, at the moment, this is kind of like the original way of doing things, where we have this sort of menu over here on the left, and then you have kind of all of the extra buttons at the bottom there. They've now changed it so everything's at the top, which doesn't sound like much, but there is kind of one cool feature in here. So basically, you've kind of got these things running at the top now. So the same things that you had before, where you've got site settings, And then this one that was called Navigator is now called Structure, annoyingly. But yeah, the actual menu itself still works the same way as it did before. It's all kind of over here on the left. But one thing that is cool is normally if I'm working on this page and then I want to work on a different page, I kind of have to go out of Elementor. I have to go into the WordPress backend, close that page, choose a new page. Whereas up here, so I'm working on this Australia page, I can change to a different section. So I can change it to the footer or something, or I can just go to the home page. And rather than going outside of Elementor, I was just editing in the Australia page. And then I click that. And again, horribly stuff. But now it's just changed to the home page. So I can literally just sort of like work on this one. Travel out limits 1. And then I'll just click publish. And then when that is published, and then just go back to the Australia one. So yeah, so that's just a new feature that I found in there. It's still just in the alpha settings, but I guess that will come in the next update. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool, useful feature up there at the top that you can change the pages. The very last thing I wanted to look at, and this is again where my apology has to come in, is basically the new change to the AI system. I don't know if you guys have used the AI system before, but you previously had these 3 things, which was image, text, and code. And it was quite good for code because obviously being a graphic designer, I don't know so much about the code. And I could just say, hey, I want to do this. I want this element to sit on top of that element. And it would tell me the code for that. And that would work pretty well. And again, not being a professional writer is good for generating text. And for images, I haven't actually used it for any images because I'm always kind of given images by the client and everything. But it was good for that. And now the new one that they've brought in now is containers, which I guess one way to look at that is you're kind of one step away from using AI to build your entire website. Because what you can do, and this is what I wish I could show you, is you can basically go into a page you're working on. And then when you click on the plus up here, you can just, drop in Flexbox or grid the way you normally would, or a pre-made template, or you can click on the AI one. And then the AI one will pop up. And then you just say what you want to appear in that entire section of your website. So as you can see on this one, they've said create a hero section for a furniture company. And then when you click generate, it will give you options based around that. So it's kind of like saying, hey, I could use this option, this option, this option. And these see like they're kind of like parts taken from templates, but it kind of goes a little bit further beyond that. And if whatever you've written in doesn't quite show up exactly right, you can kind of rewrite something up in here, or you can just press regenerate and it will just give you 3 different options. And this is where I wish I could show you, but I was not aware that whatever free trial I had signed up for with AI, I thought it was on a time basis, but it's on credits, as Will said at the very start of this. And from playing around with all of this earlier today, I've just used up all of my credits. But basically what I wanted to create was, so this is another site that I'm working on that's called Transform Perform. And for this top hero section, I wanted to kind of create a hero like this. And I wanted to be able to click on these buttons and then it will change the entire hero. So it'll kind of be in a sort of slider or a carousel. So what I was doing earlier was writing in here, okay, so I want like a full screen carousel or something like that. And then I press generate. And then normally it would show me options for that, but unfortunately it's asking me for upgrade. And I did have a play around with it earlier and it didn't really work. And maybe it's just because I was using the wrong words, but it kind of wasn't giving me anything that was even slightly close to what I was looking for here. And I do know how to do this because inside the carousel now you can just drop in a whole container. And then obviously in that container, you can put in another container, put in text, put in your image. But I was just hoping that it would kind of have something like that I wanted pre-made for me, but I couldn't find it. And I think because they're still at a sort of early stage of this, I think it will get to that at some point. And also when I was playing around with today, I kind of clicked on this little button which says reference a website. And I'm like, oh, well, that's really cool because if I've seen something on another website and I want it to create something the same way, that would be really useful. And I assume that when this does work, you could just use it with any website. So, you can go to, hey, on Facebook, create this the way that Zuckerberg's created it on here. I don't think it has to be a site that's built in Elementor, and I'm hoping that their AI tool would actually just look at it. However, again, this is early stage, so when you click reference the website, you get this little pop-up, which doesn't even seem to be coming up, which is basically saying this isn't working yet. No, it's just says the app's not responding. So yeah, so sorry about lacking the ability to show you all of that. Will, I don't know if you have that set up in your Elementor account and could just show us very quickly how it works, but no worries if not.
No, sorry, I don't have anything at hand.
Okay, no worries. All right, well,
I've used up all my credits.
Used up all of them. I wasn't aware of that. I only just used it a couple of times, basically, for code and a little bit of text. And I thought, yeah, it was just going to last like a month or something like that, but obviously it didn't. It lasted on credits. And I can upgrade, but I have to get a client to pay for that first. So that's just why I didn't go in and just put my credit card details in. But yeah, so those are the new three things, really. Just the taxonomy filter, which will be really useful for e-commerce. This new top bar thing, which is still at the alpha stage, but I like the way you can switch between working on different pages there. And the AI thing. And like after this video, guys, I'd recommend just going to this page. It's just elementor.com/pricing AI. And then that will kind of just show you a little bit more about what it can do, really. And they have kind of FAQ in here because it is kind of potentially amazing. It's just not quite there yet. But yeah, back over to you, Will.
Thank you. I think you get 1,000 credits to play around with as the demo. And it lasted me about 2 hours when I was doing the tests for the images. So you're gonna, the $2.99 USD a month gives you 18,000 credits. Okay. And the $8.25 US gives you 50,000. I think if you're serious about AI and you're going to use it, I think you're going to burn through credits an awful lot. I reckon that's going to change when people start using that a lot.
I just have thought that because I wasn't actually using those containers, I was just asking it to look for one, and then all of the options that it came up with I didn't like anyway. But I didn't realize that that was going to use up my credits just searching for something, because then you type in something, you make a spelling mistake or something, I just wasted a bunch of credits, or you just kind of like, oh, I could have used a different word there. So I don't know if that's a good setup, really, but.
Yep. Everything costs, and everything costs different. So images are more expensive than text. I don't know if they've got a limit on the containers. I presume that's going to be a more costly thing to do because you ask it to do a lot more. But yeah, every time you ask it, it takes away credits. So you get vintage shiny objects syndrome very quickly. It's like, oh, click. Okay, let's wrap this up for tonight. Hi, Bridget. Thanks for joining. Hey. Okay, where are we at? Right, so all this stuff together, I don't know why it keeps hiding that behind here. Let's drag this over. There we go. We've talked about some of the new features. John's shown you some of the AI stuff. I went through a little bit of the history of Elementor and where it's peaked and maybe troughed and stuff. But let's have a look at where we think Elementor might go ahead in 2024. Now, John and I don't have any privilege to this. We're in the Slack channel and the developers and product team are there, but there's not a lot of engagement at the moment. They used to give us little sneak peeks a couple of years ago, but that's kind of gone now. So the big thing is, if you go to the global Elementor Facebook group, there's actually a pinned post just now, whereas you can book a Zoom call or a whatever call with one of the product team members. Now, they're particularly interested, and you can take this as you want, they're particularly interested in how you think, what sales and marketing features Elementor could use in the future. So that's the main focus, but you can book a session with one of the product managers and actually get to chat away with them about how you use Elementor, where you'd like to see Elementor going. So it is a chance to actually, put your thoughts in front of this is the product team, the people who decide what goes into Elementor or not. So even if they're asking for particular stuff, you can always, just chat to them about how you use it and where you'd like to see the product going. So it's well worthwhile. Not a lot of companies allow you to chat directly with the senior product manager. So there's not a lot of time slots that are good with Australia. Most of them are like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., but there are some that are 10 a.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., something like that. So it's up to yourselves if you do want to have a good chat with them and see where Elementor's going. It's a chance to kind of shape and put your ideas there. So it's worthwhile if you think that's something you want to do. So check out that post in the global Facebook group. But here's my speculation. Sorry, John, I should have included you in this. Please jump in if you have any ideas. But here's what I think might be in store for Elementor in 2024. So I've raised it probably, possibly, and wish. So in the probablys, the continual speed improvements, I think that's going to be just an ongoing thing. As I said, they're working closely with the Google Lightspeed team to get the scores up on those. So I think that's just going to be ongoing. More AI integrations. So I think you're going to see AI everywhere in everything next year, not just Elementor, but just everything. But especially Elementor, I think they're going to expand on what you can do. They're going to refine that. They're probably going to look at the pricing models as well. Conditional logic in core. We've kind of seen that on the roadmap. It just kind of appeared in the last month for those. But this is something that a lot of people have been screaming out for, is built into core, being able to conditionally show different widgets and different containers based on other stuff. So that could be a choice on a custom post type, for example, and it displays stuff. That's kind of the core of how sales and marketing landing pages work in corporates. So that'll be good. Expand collaboration tools. So we've got the notes that you can leave notes for people. And then you've got Gutenberg, which is in this phase 3, I think it is, where they're looking at real-time collab. And I know there's been a little bit of chatter about that with Elementor. So you could be looking at real-time collaboration tools within Elementor if you've got like a larger design team, or if you're working with people remotely and you kind of want to do a work sprint for that. So same people in the same design, chatting to each other, leaving design notes and doing stuff. So that's probable, I think. Tighter integration with the blocks and patterns. Gutenberg is making strides over the last few months with releasing new blocks, new patterns, tweaks in the back end, really integral stuff. I think Elementor would do well to keep going with that, and they are. So John showed you the query filters and all the different options that they're bringing up on that, and that's on a par with what Gutenberg is releasing with the query loop and filters for those. So I think they do well to keep that going. And probably some integration with full site editing. So Gutenberg and Automatic are really pushing the full site editing capabilities with WordPress. And I think you're probably going to see a little bit of integration from the Elementor side along with that. So, if you do want to use the full site editing, then, you can probably change a few bits and bobs within Elementor as well. I think just to ensure that it works well overall. So that's my probably list. My possibly, I'm going to put my hand up and say they're probably going to dump the hosting service next year. I can't say for them. I don't think it's been a good call for them, or it's been a huge learning experience for them. There's a lot of people being dissatisfied about the options and the service and the support for those. So I'm just going to stick my hand up and say they're probably going to lose that at some point.
Yeah, well, as someone that runs their own hosting,
Yep.
it is it's a big thing that is invisible. It's the classic iceberg. People see this much and this much work.
Yep.
Something I'd like to see on that is they really need something that people like WordPress has a thing where you can say site health, I think it is, WordPress health. There really needs to be something to say, oh, okay, your hosting is not optimal for Elementor. It hasn't got enough memory. It hasn't got the right PHP. It's not, blah, 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 just like WordPress does, because there's so many people that go, my thing's not working, Elementor's rubbish, and their hosting is just crap.
Yeah. So there was a pinned post on the Facebook group asking for opinions on hosting, and they got it. Most people are saying, look, just focus on the core page builder, forget hosting because it's rubbish. But you know, we'll see what goes on. But that's a good idea, Paul. Even SiteGround have something similar like that. They've got a little widget that says, oh, you know, you've not got this enabled, or you should have this enabled, that sort of thing. Possibly as well is paid add-on widgets for niche services like marketing, e-commerce, LMS. I don't know for sure, but the previous slide is all focused on what sort of marketing areas do you see Elementor going into. I extrapolated from that they're probably thinking about offering add-on stuff for niche things. So there'd be a sales and marketing add-on that would give you different types of widgets. There'd be an LMS add-on that would give you more specific type of widgets. We talked earlier, Bridget, about they've split the Elementor Pro package off. So the essential one comes in at $59 and only has 50 widgets. And then the $95 one has a full 82. So what you might see, and this is, I have no idea, I'm just speculating, what you might see in the future is you can buy the small package, but then you can buy add-on widgets depending on your niche. That's just my guess about what they could possibly go to. And my wish list is the ability to enable and disable AI completely. If I don't use it, I'm not using it, and it just annoys me with that little pink thing that sparkles and all over the place. So I just want to switch it all off. That's my wish list. Yes, May. And another wish list is for tighter JavaScript animations and a 3D library integration. For that would be lovely, because I know they've got animation and you can choose stuff, but have proper JavaScript animations to kind of, you know, be able to sell good landing pages, I think would be absolutely key in core. So that's my wish list. That's everything basically. I'm just going to stop the share. Please chip in if you have any questions, if you've got any ideas as to what you'd like to see in Elementor, what you want to get rid of in Elementor. I'd love to hear that as well.
I think the 3D animations one is a very interesting one, because we've got Lottie at the moment, but it requires you to find a library of things or make it yourself. And as a no-code designer or developer, sorry, Paul, having the ability to have 3D elements that move and interact on a website is definitely a dream.
There's some cracking libraries out there that have got, I won't say drag and drop elements, but it's almost like you tell it roughly what you want and it will build up the code for you and bundle it in such a way as it's a component on the form, just in the same way as you'd handle a section or an image. I would love that as well.
And that's not Elementor. That's actually like if you code it yourself.
Yeah. Cool. John, how about you? What would you like to see or not see in Elementor as a designer?
So I just kind of got an example. I'll just share that. Just kind of things that I've had to buy extra plugins for, I suppose, really. So I have Unlimited Elementor or something. I can't remember what it's called. But this is a page that I made for NRMA holiday parks. And this is a paying advertiser for this company that I work for, Out About Kids. And they wanted a sort of interactive map thing like this. And I couldn't find any way of doing this inside Elementor. And I just had to buy in the app for this, basically. But obviously, this is the part of Australia where they have all of the holiday parks. And then I can just search for Sydney, and it will, you know, show me which ones have that name in it over here. Or just, I've just got a drop down menu over here, and it's like, right, I'm going to Victoria. These are the ones in Victoria. As I kind of hover over them, it will bounce up and down on the little icon over there. And then if I want to go to this one that's in the Grampians, I just click on it, and it will show me exactly where that is. And then I got this little pop-up thing, and then I can click on the link and it will take me through to that part of the company's website. So that took me a long time to build that, and then I had to pay for it. So I guess it would just be like things like that, really, because that seems like quite an easy enough thing for them to make. And then just sort of this is kind of looking at what I looked at earlier today, which is just having the taxonomy filter. They're still not quite there with it in that I can't make it a drop-down menu. So here I have this one, find out more about our parks, and obviously being NRMA, well, this is where we have stories for them. So we have stories for their parks in New South Wales, their ones in Victoria, and their ones in Queensland. I just kind of want that. Because obviously the one we were looking at before, I only had like these sort of hover over buttons. I didn't have a drop-down menu for it. So yeah, so from a design point of view, I think it's just kind of like, I don't know if they're kind of getting commission from all of these plugin companies, because obviously they link through to them now and everything. But I just figure they should do what all of these plugin companies do. If they want to keep customers and keep us impressed, don't make me go somewhere else to buy something, I suppose is what I'm saying here. But yeah.
I got a question, John, on that interactive map. So
Yes.
I work for an events company and we use the interactive maps for hotels and stuff, but we use one called Snazzy Maps because it's free.
Okay.
But it's not to that degree. Like that one that you have there, the way it bounces and interacts is so much nicer. Do you mind sharing?
So, I mean, I'll take a look at this one. Oh, yeah, free styles for Google Maps. Oh, I have seen this one before, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't have the sidebar like yours does.
Yeah, I think, in fact, I found it when I was trying to build this one, and it was like, okay, I can make it look cool, but it's
very limited, and they haven't really been pushing any further updates to it when people have been suggesting new features to it.
I still will give that a try and play around with it. But yeah, that's good to know. And yeah, if you ever find something that's free, I mean, there must be so many times when I've gone out and paid for a plugin and then someone goes, you could have got that free here. Like, you know? But
see, I'm on the opposite. I want to know what you're using there.
Yeah. So that's it. So this one is let's go to the back end of this site. Let's spell it right. Signed into this website. So yeah, it was basically just using this unlimited Elementor one, and it took me a very long time to figure out how to do it because I had to link it to Google Maps basically, which kind of went like through like the Google Cloud.
Yeah. So you had to add your console API.
That's
kind of
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't I'm doing this for a client or whatever, but I don't know if there's a fee for that from Google.
No, it depends on how many, I think, hits threshold you might be able to get. But honestly, with the amount of traction that we get through our own Google stuff, we don't hit it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, this page doesn't get looked at a lot anyway. It was just when an advertiser comes in and goes, we want this page and we give you this much money, we build it anyway. Doesn't mean it's the best way to use it. But like, this is actually quite a useful tool. So if I just have a look at how I built it, and not that I stole it from one of our rivals, but this is another rival company. It's called Holiday with Kids. And they do travel in Australia with kids. And they have a similar sort of thing. Where over here, this is very good. And I want to find out how they've done it. And again, not to rip it off because they are a rival.
But you know, inspired you.
That's it. Yeah, inspiration. That's the word I always use. So yeah. And then I mean, it's just very good because I can just go right, all regions, Australia. I can just go New South Wales, and then I can split it up into farm stay, holiday parks. Well, farm, that sounds like fun. No results though. Let's just say holiday park then in New South Wales, and it will show me where all of those are. And then I can kind of click over here, and when I click on the 5, it will then break it up into smaller parts. So there's 2 there, and then I can just kind of find out more about that, and then click on the links. So that's very useful. And yeah, just to let you know which plugin I used for this one.
Unlimited Elements, is it?
Yes, unlimited. Yes, that's correct. Unlimited Elements, and I think I had to pay like $150 to be able to use it on 5 different websites or something. It's actually really good. But yes, that just wasn't available because you can just add in these different things here. So you have unlimited Google Maps, and then you can just kind of set that up Loads of different ways, basically. This is just like dropping in the admin one. So here we have like, it goes in this New York, and I can click on Times Square and it will tell me that. Click on Central Park, Empire State Building. So yeah, it's actually really good. But it took a long time to build this one based on what they wanted. And let's try and figure out how to use it all.
And did you, because we already use something like essential add-ons with unlimited elements, was it also a widget library, and did you disable the ones you don't use?
Yeah. So it's basically like you just sign up for it. I can kind of show you that in here. Unlimited elements. There's loads really. And like you can just go in here to widgets and it will show you all of the different things, and you've got all of these different subcategories. So we have like card carousel, swipe carousel, all of these different things. And if I haven't used them, they're just not there. And then you just hover over it and then you'd go install, and it will just add that to your Elementor menu in here. If I just put in the word unlimited, you can see those are the ones that I have done. Yeah, and if I just look at account, not as important how much I've spent, but I think I paid a one-off fee. I think it was a one-off fee of $200 US, and I think I can use that across 5 different websites, but that was just an upfront fee, so that would just be forever basically.
It's pretty small when you think about it.
It is really, and it is really good. I definitely recommend them because they have like a lot of different things, and they have all the things that Elementor do. They just kind of have like these pre-made ones that are just sort of a little bit nicer, as you can see, like with these sort of scrolling things and everything. Just different ways of doing it that you possibly could do in Elementor, but you'd have to figure out to do it yourself. You can just drop this in.
They have a Black Friday sale that ends in one day where they're offering 50% off. So that one is the unlimited sites, 1 year, $99.50.
Oh, maybe it was only for 1 year that I bought it then. Oh, I might have to pay that again. I thought I bought a lifetime one, but well, that's good. Yeah.
They do have a lifetime one.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
Yes, they do. But one site for a lifetime. It's $99.50.
Oh, there you go then. Yeah. And I think there was an option to buy it for possibly even for unlimited websites, but then that was like $1,000 or something.
It's $700 US down to $350 US for lifetime unlimited.
So yeah, you can use it lifetime on any. You can make 1 million websites. That's pretty good then, really. Yeah, I think I just didn't need to buy that because I didn't need to use it that many times. And $700 US is about 7 million Australian dollars these days, isn't it? So
yes. Give or take, yes.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to chip in about anything? Nope. All good. Okay, I think we might do a bit of a wrap then. Thank you very much, John.
I just wanted to chip in, Will. Thank you so much to you and John for the year. It's been great. Looking forward to next year. So enjoy your Christmases.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Enjoy it too. Enjoy Christmas.
If you missed the bit before, Bridget, we're moving to a different structure next year. So it's going to be quarterly meetups. So we'll be back in March, first Thursday in March, looking at John's doing design, I'll do development, and we'll look at the new features for those with the Q&A afterwards as well. Well, thanks everyone. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Nick. Thanks, Paul. And have a lovely Christmas and New Year, and we'll see you in 2024.
Thanks, Will.
Hey guys,
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Hey.